Welcome to PMQ Marketing Masters. This is Steve Green, publisher of PMQ Pizza Magazine. And as you know, if you've been a regular follower of our weekly presentation, we are looking, searching, and finding successfully the smartest, most relevant people that we can think of to extract information, different ways of selling more pizza. So we've got a true master with us today. His name is Greg Rapp. He's with Menu Engineering or Menu Engineers. And he's been in the business for 37 years. And he's always been up to date. He's worked with internationally. You've seen him on the Today Show. You've seen him on To Tell the Truth as a mystery guest. He's very knowledgeable. But the reason he's so important to the pizza world right now is because half of all pizza is now being sold digitally. And I ran into some information about Greg recently where he has let us know that all the information that he's gathered about menus over the last 37 years is even more relevant and important today in a digital world. The human brain has not changed a bit. And the way people read menus principally, or the way they digest menus is still similar. We're still looking at menus in the same way, but there's a big difference between digital and print in terms of how you're viewing the menu. So now menus are even more important because of digital online ordering. So what I'd like to do would be to ask Greg a couple of questions that people have been wanting to know. And then we're going to be able to see a very solid presentation about the art and the science of menu design and how to successfully win customers using your menu as a secret weapon. That's what Greg does better than anybody else that I've ever run into in my episodes of pizza. So, Greg, can you make yourself visible?
Yeah.
And are you there? Okay, there you are. Actually, our producer Ingrid Valbuena probably did that, I guess. You don't have a magic wand over there that allowed you to do that.
Steve, I don't see me on the screen. Am I on the screen?
Okay. Yes, you are. Yes, I can see you. Take my word for it. Yeah, you're on the screen.
Can you take that down? Because I can't see it, so I'm gonna make. I wouldn't be able to see how you're what's going on. So
okay,
let's drop my picture out.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask, yeah. I wanted to ask you a question to start off with.
Great.
About, I think there's a lot of people, well, the question is how important are menus now that people are ordering online?
Well, menus, if you think about it, they'll sell $1 million or $5 million or whatever your sales total at the end of the year. That's what your menu sells. So you want to figure out your menu so it's engineered properly and you sell what you want to sell. There are different items that are pulling. They're on the menu for different reasons. Some menu items are pulling people in for price. Some people are pulling it in for all kinds of occasions that you want to look at. But you're right, a menu online is the same today as our printed menus or our menu boards. When you look up at the menu boards in a restaurant, you want to engineer your layouts accordingly. So this way we can track, and I track menus profit per person. which is different than most others, because what we do is we run the numbers on the menu before to see what the average profit per person is, and then after we put the new menu in, we wait about 30 days and then run the numbers again. And it typically, on a menu that I've worked on, will go up at least $1,000. So I have a guarantee that, if you have me help you with your menu, you're going to make $1,000 or you get your money back. I've never seen anyone else in the industry work that way. So so when it comes to website menus, the same thing. And then we've got to deal with these delivery companies, and they're not helping us. They are helping themselves to what they want. They don't understand menus, and I've been to their headquarters, these huge companies, trying to get them to understand that we as restaurateurs want to sell the steak and not the burger, but the burger is more popular, so so they see it as that's their easiest sell, so they'll go after that. Same thing in the pizza business. Pepperoni pizza is probably more popular than other pizzas, so they'll focus on that. But we want them to focus on the supreme, right? So so let me show you the tools and the steps that I use. And this is very, very important for restaurateurs. It's an exercise. There's always an easy shortcut. And it's so funny when I've given this presentation at Open Table and at I've given this presentation to Google headquarters. I went down to Mountain View, California, and we did I did this presentation for them because we then studied how a person reads a screen, and it's the same tools that I'm talking about that we want to work into. So when I get to a restaurant, I put a card. I know it's funny, but I go to your little office mat or marks or whatever it is and get some index cards. And I use white index cards for entrees, and that would be pizzas or pasta items, and then I get green cards for let's say salads and extra add-on items. And so I have a whole little system that you've got to lay your cards out, and I put each item on the card. And I know that you might have 4 different sizes of pizza, but let's just use your most popular size. So put that on the top of the card, then take the cost. And yes, you have to know your food cost on every item, so you have your food cost in every item. Now we can subtract that to get the profit or the gross profit. And then down in the corner, we'll write the monthly sales mix. That sales mix could be last month, it could be last year, could be this number tells us the popularity of the item compared to the other items. Okay, so now I've got cards on all my menu items. I can lay my cards out for and I'm sorry I don't have a pizza example to show you today, but
oh, we can imagine that.
Yeah, so take a look here in this. The crab cakes makes us the most money when someone comes in to this restaurant and sits down. The crab cakes make us the most money, $19.94.
Wow.
So I'm going to try and sell that over anything else. And then I'm going to go down veal chop, salmon. But look at the rack of lamb at the bottom. It has a high food cost, and so it brings us $12.90.
Right.
Well, you have the $29. Their price is the highest price that we've got for this off our whole menu. So we don't want to sell that. Or we also, things will bubble up like this. So you'll start looking for better rack of lamb. If you can get a better price, go shopping. Because as things bubble up on this, you get it. You want to find every dollar that you find off that rack of lamb, every dollar that you add to that is a dollar added to your bottom line. That's not, a percentage of anything or anything else. It's that dollar goes to the bottom line, and that's what I want to. That's what I want to do is look at it along those lines. And
Wow.
then I look at the add-on items. So I've got the salads or the appetizers here. If you've got wings, I usually put the wings in the entree section or create them more as entrees because they really are more of an entree. But look in your restaurant to see what people are ordering those for and how they're ordering them these days. And so we can figure this out. So we've got all the items that add on, and I call these Velcro items. Everybody's going to order an entree, but these items are any one of these that you throw at your customer, the Velcro items stick. You want them to stick, and they'll order. So we'll sell more and make more. Desserts. Now here, guys, Steve, I don't know if you found some good dessert menus in pizza restaurants, but
Oh yeah.
we always beat our head against the wall because it's so hard to sell that dessert. But and finally, I think we've given up a number of places. But anyway, I want to show you the desserts here. The chocolate cake. Look at the top of the list. It makes us $7.48. It only costs 52 cents because we make it in house. Now go down to the tiramisu that we buy, and the labor is in that item, and so it looks like food cost. Now, is this a study to say should we buy our desserts or make our desserts? No, that's for you and your chef to figure out because you want to put out the best items you can. And my job is at 6 o'clock tonight when we open for dinner is to have a menu that is laid out accordingly. But that tiramisu on this menu is the last thing we want to sell because it makes us the least amount of money. Great. So now we're going to take the items and we're gonna lay them out, or we're going to study the items. As we go out to the right is profit or dollars, okay, and going up is popularity. So those crab cakes were the most profitable items, so they would be the furthest out, and those crab cakes happen to be higher in profitability than or in popularity than the puzzles. So we call them a star. Stars are your best items. They're the highest in profit, the highest in sales. Now, characteristics of a star is we can take it up in sales. We can take the price up and people will still order it. Okay, it's just an automatic order. It's a margarita in a Mexican restaurant in the bar mix. People will come in, they order a margarita, they don't ask the price. It's just an automatic order, and as long as you don't go too high, where they get scared. But the key is that these items we can take up in price, and they'll keep selling over and over. Then I want to tell my chef, "Hey, chef." Our crab cakes are a star. Let's create a Asian crab cake or Southwest crab cake, or extend your stars. If you find that you've got a white pizza that's worked and is a star for some reason, I'm just guessing at these things. I want you to do your own costing and your own layouts, but if that white pizza, then you want to extend it. If it's not that profitable, we want to take it down a few items and not have as many white pizzas. Now, puzzles are items that are high in profit but low in popularity. And an example in the restaurant world I use is steak and lobster. It steak and lobster is high in price and people don't order it. Now, one tool that we have is we can take it down in price and it will go up in sales. So so we want to take a look at that. I was working on a restaurant in Arizona where we had the pizzas. Now, when it comes to pizzas, I want you to take your large pizza and divide it by how many people eat that pizza. And that will give you the true cost or add-on profit for that pizza. So once we do this and we start looking, this restaurant had a puzzle was they had a lasagna, and lasagna they charged $19.95 for, and it looked like an expensive item. And when it came out, it was just a piece of lasagna, a nice piece, but and the lasagna was great, but and so we took that down to, I think it was $15.95, and our orders flew out the door because it was just priced too high. And remember, I want to sell that pasta item over and above the pizza item because it brings us more profit per person. Now, the plow horse is an item that is low in profit but high in popularity. An example of this would be your pepperoni pizza. Mom or dad can check the price of every pepperoni pizza in town, and then we hope they'll order the supreme, which is going to be the star. You get it? So, so we lay it out. A draft beer is a plow horse in a bar. A draft beer drinker will when you take your price up in draft beer, they'll go somewhere else. They'll go to another restaurant that they can get their cheaper draft beer. So now the beer world has, of course, changed, and it's a whole nother animal. I mean, we've got beer snobs now instead of wine snobs, and it's a whole nother world. That just by putting one beer on your taps, it brings in a whole crowd. So so we want to look at the beer world a little bit differently than we did years before. Now, dogs, I like dogs. I'd rather call them cats, but they're low in profit, low in sales, and so we want to try and get those off the menu, and so we'll sell more of them. You get it? So we're going to lay it out accordingly, and then when we do the layout on the graph, you can do this as an easy Excel graph. Will show you where the items are, and I want you to look at around the lines and think about who's ordering this item and why are they ordering the item, and take a look at these things as you piece your menu together. Now, this is the tools that I have that we and this is how that we use to sell items that we want to sell, like those crab cakes. Now we want to put them in a prime sweet spot, but that means we have to put the whole section, meaning the seafood section or the steak section, or in your area, we do white pizzas, we do regular pizzas, we do wings. We do meat pizzas. We might have a section that's vegetarian pizzas. Okay. Now the first item in the column is the best real estate. That's where that's underneath the, let's say it says white pizzas. You want to put your more profitable pizza underneath that section because it's the easiest. People will read the first item, second item, and third item, and those are our three best real estate in this menu. Signature spotlight. That's when we take a little dingbat. We call them dingbats, or little logos that we reduce down and we put it next to an item. And my first client, one of my first clients in Denver, his name was Dean Peterson, and he wanted to put a little signature spotlight next to everything. He goes, Greg, this is a great item. We got to put a dingbat on it. And I go, Dean, the more you use, the less it means. And so okay, so we're almost done here. Signature spotlights. So you want to, the more you use, the less it means. I try and use only one per section. Rename the item. Give it a cool name, and it will stand out better than the others. Fonts and typefaces. When you use a serif typeface, and this slide has serif typefaces, you see the serifs are at the bottom. It makes an imaginary line underneath the type. And so the newspapers and magazines, if you remember what they looked like, they all used a serif typeface because you can read 9 words more per minute with a serif than a sans serif, which is new and cool. But if we want to be hip and cool, we use a serif typeface, sans serif typeface. And we use upper and lower case is easier than easier than a all caps. All caps. Think of an email that you've gotten in all caps. You don't want to read it.
Yeah.
Boxing an item works because your eye will go to the box. The box is drawn over to the eye. Color. Restaurateurs think that you put color behind the menu and it will stand out like red. Well, when you put the red on the menu and the lights are low, you can't see it. Black on white is the easiest thing to see. So we use color very carefully. Logo the item. This is when we do a logo for each specialty pizza. And then they're competing with each other. I love that you can do this. And then you might think about printing different logos of your specialty pizzas on the pizza boxes. So every time they open the pizza box, and let me tell you that the biggest mistake in pizza boxes are they don't print the inside of the pizza box, because what's the first thing you do when you get a pizza is you open the box, and if you can there's lots of room for a story in there, and I'm not sure what it costs to print that second side, but it's better than a billboard that's out on the street. It just gets right to the people and tells them what we want. Okay, so illustration and photography. The latest research on photography is when a person sees a picture of the food, they taste it in their head a little bit. And this is a study that comes out of BYU in Utah, where you'll taste, and the first bite is the best bite. The 10th bite, let's say it's chocolate cake. They'll show people 50 pictures of chocolate cake, and then they bring them a piece of chocolate cake, and it's like, oh, I really don't want it, because you get it that we want to use photographs to pull people into the restaurant on our TV spots, but be careful. I like illustrations because you can't taste them. and they're more of a fantasy. And there's some good examples of menus out there that use illustrations instead of photography. It still adds that attention to it. Lots of copy. The more you write on a menu, the longer the description, the more value it has. So the value goes up and the price goes down. Okay, so then pedigree items. This is go through your storeroom looking for logos of items that people know, like Dole pineapple. If you name it Dole pineapple and you're using Dole, make sure you're using Dole pineapple. It adds value to it, and it says we're buying the good stuff here, not prison quality pineapple. We're using Dole pineapple. You get it? So, so just adding a few different pedigree names throughout your menu elevates all your menu, and it says we're using good food. Testimonials. This is and I'm almost done here. Testimonials are when we put the quotes that we get today from as seen on the Food Network. You know, we'll put that next to the item, and it will you got to be on the Food Network to do it. But the key is this is the best pizza in town, or whatever it is, whatever your specialty pizza is. Put a quote around it, and it will draw attention to it. And then white space is if you put white space around an item, it will, if you put white space around the item, people's eye will go to it, and they will, you know, you always read the bottom line where it says 15% is added to parties of 10 or more, or 6 or more, whatever. A piece, everybody reads that because it's got so much white space around it. So, Steve, do you want to see if there are any questions that we have out there?
Well, I have a couple of questions, but
Great.
Ingrid, do you have you been monitoring our well, let's see, Brian Hernandez has one. Okay, do you see that, Greg?
No,
There's a
I don't.
question on the screen. It says, how do you organize a menu to highlight the higher ticket items, bold print, special font? I guess Brian must have just joined us because you just went over that. But is there anything else you might add to that as far as?
Yeah, you want to put your best section are in the, hang on 1 second. I'm going to lose you real quick. Sorry about that. I'm back.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're still. Nobody's left. We're all here.
All right. See if I can pull you back up. I couldn't see you. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry. Any other questions we need to look at?
Well, one thing we can edit that out. We'll edit out that part.
Yeah, thank you.
But I was curious about your. I never thought of this before, but I'm.
Oh,
Yeah.
there. What can you drop both of my? Do you have me dropped out, or can you see? Is this okay? There we
Yeah.
go. There
Yeah.
we
There you
go.
go.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Sorry. Any other questions?
The question is, you were talking about using illustrations as opposed to photography, and you were talking about the 10th bite of chocolate cake is not nearly as attractive or memorable as the first bite.
Correct.
And so does that, I didn't understand how that was relevant to using, were you saying that we should use illustrations sometimes because
you can't taste an illustration.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
taste a picture, you can see and taste. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, and the other piece of it is that the big chains, we've got thousands of dollars to shoot the photography, and the shooting the photography, although it's getting better, is is not as good. So so just be careful with photography.
So you're saying that because I always just thought photography won all day long, but I guess maybe that's because I've been talking to photographers.
And you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, because you know, when you put a picture on your sale, if you put one picture of an item in a category, you'll go up in sales 30%. If you do two pictures, it'll be only 15%. Three pictures, you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I'm just giving you the latest research on what's going on.
So do you have any good ideas for illustrations? Are you like what do you do for illustrations? Do you use like a program where they turn photos into illustrations, or
no? There are all kinds of cool things out there to use now. So so yeah, we've been using all kinds of, but the best illustration example I like, there are two. Number one is Ben and Jerry's, because Ben and Jerry's in their old cone shops, they used to have Chunky Monkey would be a monkey flying across the board with a banana, holding a banana, so you didn't have to read it to taste it. Okay. They no longer do that. I'm not sure why, but that's brilliant when you can show with illustrations the taste, so people can taste that. The second is Trader Vic's. Look up, it's an old, for you kids out there, it's an old tiki kind of restaurant. And when you would open the drink menu, they had drinks from Bora Bora or Tahiti or all these wonderful places. And you would, your brain would go to on vacation as you're ordering these drinks, and as a, you know, and then they would bring the drink, and it was in a vessel that's you know, with dry ice, and it's bubbling, and it's so cool. And they didn't show that on the illustration. They showed, you know, Tahiti. But the point is it was the oh wow factor. Now today's chains, and I work with all the restaurant chains, and what they want to do is take a picture of the oh wow, and the oh wow goes away. It goes on the menu. And you're right, Steve, it will sell somewhere, but I'd rather have that oh wow experience that people get when they pull together their menu. Yeah.
I like the pedigree idea. That takes some. I would imagine we're in the pizza industry. I'd like to see some of our food sponsors like Hormel or Smithfield create some artwork for national promotions that we can do, like
Brilliant
Pizza
idea.
Vegan is what we're doing.
Yeah. And have a book of use, you know, illustrations that you can use. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Well, we're doing that now with our Pizza Vegan promotion that we're doing in November. Have you visited Pizza Vegan yet?
No, I haven't
Okay.
seen it yet, but I will.
I'd like you to in a couple of days when we get the consumer version of it and see if you have any recommendations for us. I'm sure you would. But I remember sitting through your menu class in 1997, and you've got some new things in there.
Oh yeah.
There's some things that I didn't realize. Yeah.
You got the first 15 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
I can go on for days if you remember.
I do remember that, and I think I probably have gotten days of knowledge over the last 25 years. So let's see.
Steve, I remember speaking at your first pizza show in New York. Was that your first pizza show?
Yeah, 2004.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2005. I'm not sure which year it was.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, you've who are some of the people that you've worked for that just who are the top 5
I've worked
companies
with
that you've worked with? You worked with Disney, right?
Worked with Disney. I've worked with almost all the top cruise ship companies.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked on Darden, all their concepts, from Olive Garden, Red Lobster when they owned Red Lobster too, and then every few years they bring me back to update the team. And oh gosh, Brinker, just goes on and on.
What are the questions that people are asking you now? It's really interesting, right? All about digital or online?
Yeah. And you just have to take control of it and lay it out accordingly with the power of what you're doing. So you want to, these delivery companies, they don't care about the restaurateur. They just want to get their big share. And that's what they're looking to do, is build their share so they don't, I haven't found any operators that like any of them, but I think the first company that comes in and helps delivery company, the big delivery companies, which take 30% of your sales, the first one that starts helping restaurateurs is going to win, I hope.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting because I see menus as so critical. In fact, I think menus really are the secret weapon of the independent, because they have the catalog of all the innovative different things that you can buy that can satisfy the needs. 99% of all the variety is in the independent segment. And if you look at Domino's, they're really kind of like the FedEx of pizza. They have one pizza that they sell. 15% of America eats that one pizza. And then all these independents have all these different kinds of pizzas and variety and stories and all this could be, all of this variety and adventure could be found through menus if the menus were digitized and available and presented.
You can get yeah. And there's I don't like the digital menus where the screen has little boxes of all the food items. There's a menu company, and you've got my information. If anyone needs my the information for this one digital company that does makes a menu. You create a menu, and it's totally different than all the others. And I'll get you that, because they're really the best in the business.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That would be really good. I'd love to take a gander at what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I ran this show longer than we normally do, because I wanted to get all of your presentation in there so we could
Are we still
save
on?
that someplace. Yeah, we sure are. So is there anything else that we can record now that we should append to this edited version of what you've been presenting us today?
Why don't you go through what you go through it and pick out if there's any pieces we need to come back and
well, I would
restart.
like to get that lead that you were telling me about, that digital menu strategy that you were talking about. That would be really good. And I've got some other ideas too. Maybe some people that you're working with, you might want to share some ideas where the pizza industry could help one of your like a food manufacturer be successful.
Right.
Maybe there's a menu program that we could create or work with, for the pizza industry.
I'm doing a lot of work with Diageo right now, and their ad agency that creates content and things. So you're going to see Diageo coming out with a lot of menu engineering.
Oh, great.
So great.
And well, inspired by you.
Yes, totally. It's taken months, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I better get wrapping up. And,
Thank you very much, Greg. We really appreciate you being with us today. One last thing. Are you still living in William Holden's old house?
No,
you're not.
Moved to LA for a couple of years, and then I moved back to Palm Springs. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I just didn't know whether there were any ghost stories that you could tell me or anything like that.
No, not at this point.
All right.
All
right. All right. So long, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Greg.